Oh, yeah, because we kind of were talking about the spy balloon, but now we can really talk about the spy balloon. Or shall I say spy balloons, question mark, because we don't actually know what those other things are.
But probably not Chinese spy balloons.
I'm not saying they were aliens, but they were aliens.
You just need your hair to be a little spikier.
A little poofier.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the government said that they had not recovered any of the debris from those 3 additional balloons because of difficult terrain.
Yeah. Well, Biden came out on, I forget if this was Wednesday or Thursday, and said that they were pretty sure these were not Chinese spy balloons.
I mean, as long as Biden is pretty sure, I'm okay with that.
I mean, I think, and then there was that crazy story that came out about maybe it was like a hobby. One of them was a hobby balloon. Did you see that?
Yeah, that there was like a local balloon club
in Illinois.
In Illinois, where one was shot down.
Well, they were like floating. They had a balloon, and they knew it was kind of over Alaska, and then on the February 10th, and it would have been over the Yukon on the 11th. Like when that unidentified object was shot out of Canadian airspace by US F-22. But so I don't know though, because now it's a lot of speculation because Aviation Week published that story. And then, of course, all the media jumped on it because, what a wild story that would be if it was true, right? But no one's been able to get confirmation from anyone as of this recording. And also, there are a couple things that show that it may not have been like a $12 Mylar balloon, essentially, because before the U.S. officials had said that these objects were maybe the size of like a car.
Oh, okay.
So there's no proof that any of them were like a hobby balloon, but it sounds like a good story.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining a scenario like, a little kid and their dad flying a kite. Daddy, look how high my kite is. Tomahawk missile blows it up.
$400,000 missile.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
The idea that each missile could cost $400,000, to me, I'm like, well, that's a house. Right?
In some parts of the country.
Yeah. Well,
in San Francisco, it's a third of a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, still.
And they missed the one time, over
just
Lake
oops.
Huron. They missed. You'd think a $400,000 missile, they'd want to hit their slowly floating objects.
But it doesn't matter because they're spending our money, not their money.
Well, anyway, it does seem like the U.S. and maybe Canada started overreacting by just shooting down these random things.
Yeah, because it's weird, because it's clear they were tracking that original Chinese spy balloon from leaving Hainan Island all the way across the continental U.S. And then only after it became a big media thing where they're like, okay, we'll shoot it down. And now they're like, yeah, we'll shoot anything out of the sky.
Yeah, just wait. You
Making
know how every
people
year
feel safe.
Yeah.
You know how NORAD tracks Santa Claus every year? Well, you know what's going to happen this December?
Unidentified Santa objects.
But actually, it is interesting because you mentioned that it did come out that from unidentified anonymous U.S. officials who talked to the Washington Post that they had been tracking this since Hainan, which there's a bunch of big military installations. Hainan is known as, it's a big island that's off the coast of southern China, and it's known as China's Hawaii because it's a very tropical, so it's where people in China go to have a tropical vacation. But also, like Hawaii, it has large military bases on it. And so people think that the U.S. officials think that it probably came from a PLA Air Force.
With the intention of possibly spying on Guam military bases.
Which they've done before.
Which they have done before. And it is possible this balloon did get blown off course and then they just decided to make the best of a bad situation and decided to spy on bases in the continental U.S.
It was still controllable.
Yeah.
So it might have gotten blown past where they had wanted to control it, but then they could still reestablish control.
I mean, they definitely hovered over the nuclear missile sites in Montana.
I think maybe it's just a coincidence, though.
Uh-huh.
Could be.
Yeah, but that was really interesting to hear that, basically I think the U.S. is trying to come out and say all these things without having to officially say them.
Mm-hmm.
So then, talking about how this is part of a large aerial surveillance program that's been established for years by the CCP that involves balloons and satellites over other countries too. And there was also an interesting story, I think it was also in the Washington Post, about how China has used these types of large surveillance balloons domestically for years.
Oh, yeah.
Right, like over Xinjiang.
Yeah, to basically for quote unquote stability management, right? Which means quashing any protests or dissent against the government, etc.
It's a scary world when the government could just fly balloons over you to watch you. Like, even if you think you're avoiding surveillance cameras, then there's the government balloon like overhead. It's like a weird, creepy dystopia.
But I mean, that's like nothing compared to like phones.
I was just thinking
or
that
WeChat.
like, you have the balloons, but then you have the surveillance cameras
just,
and
like,
you have
extra.
your phone. Like there were a bunch of the people they arrested for these protests that happened in November against like the COVID policy. They got because of the phone tracking. They could see that they were in the vicinity of the protests. So
yeah.
there is no escape.
So the lesson here, kids, is leave your phone at home when you go out to protest the Chinese government.
But people, also use their phones as documentation, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how all these videos of the protests get out, because everybody's filming it. Which means that everybody needs to start using GoPros.
That's right. Yeah.
Or maybe one of those very old cameras that you had to like crank.
Bring back Polaroids.
Yeah. Oh, there's also just camcorders.
Are there still camcorders?
Yeah. I mean, that's just any camera, like a prosumer camera, like the ones we use for our studio, that are designed to shoot video, and they're not designed to do anything else.
When is the last time you saw a like regular person carrying around a camcorder, though?
Am I a regular person?
Well, no, because you're a professional media person.
Yes, that's why he's not a regular person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in this case,
I don't know, Shally. I don't know when anyone has done that ever.
Well, so anyway, one of the things that's found interesting about one of the objects that were blown up over the U.S. is one was octagonal. Like, what could a flying octagonal object be?
a weather balloon.
Octagonal, though?
I mean, I don't know if it's not a balloon in that case, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but
An alien species that has like an octagonal based. Like, did you ever see
Like octopods?
what was that movie? Signal? Was there a movie called Signal involving aliens?
Oh, with Renner, the Hawkeye guy.
Yes, he was in it too.
Yeah, I saw that movie. Was it Signals? That was a great movie where it's all about trying to communicate with the aliens.
Yeah, and well,
China thought they were like evil and were going to go on to like nuke.
there was some kind of precognition or something that she was like.
Yeah, when she learned to speak like the aliens, she was also thinking like the aliens, and they had different like ways of understanding.
Arrival.
Time.
Arrival.
That's
okay.
it. I think there was a movie called Signal.
That's 2016.
Yeah,
But,
really recommend that. Actually, that was a very good movie.
But because the aliens had no, like, wasn't it hexagonal? Like, there was some kind of, their writing system and stuff was based on their body morphology, which is like, they were kind of like
Octopuses.
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I mean,
squid kind of things.
Just like our numerical system is based on our body morphology, right? Our system of 10. Almost every culture has some
but
kind
not
of.
all.
Well, Aztecs had a system of 20,
Yeah.
which works if you're barefoot.
And I'm not saying they were aliens, but they were aliens.
Did the Mayans have a 12-base system?
Oh,
There's something like that.
I might actually be thinking of the Mayans, not Aztecs. But there
and
was
the number
one.
might be wrong.
Close. Live fact checking.
But yeah,
I'm
there are
just
some.
looking it up. Yeah, it's the Mayans that had a base 20.
Oh, base 20. Okay.
But their base 20 started with goes from 0 to 19, which is way more advanced than a lot of most cultures with like 1 through 10.
Yeah, like
Starting
I don't
with
think
0 is like
zero really became a thing until like India in the second or third century AD. I was listening to an interesting thing about the Sumerians. A lot of people think they were aliens too. The ancient Sumerians.
Which ones were the
civilizations.
Sumerians?
Well, they were like a kind of a prosperous civilization in like ancient Mesopotamia, and they're weird because like they like suddenly kind of showed up out of nowhere with a language disconnected from everything else around it. And they established big civilizations and whatnot. So that's why some people think they were aliens.
I mean, I'm not saying it was the aliens.
Neither am I.
Didn't we talk to someone who had been to like these kind of UFO conferences where that alien guy was speaking, and they said that he really got a lot of women?
That does sound familiar.
Yes. I remember that conversation too.
Yeah.
So
and how
once
he
again,
always went around with his hair like that to
yeah.
be recognizable.
So it's like we were saying earlier, even though you're talking about the aliens, really it's all about domestic politics.
Okay, so
yeah. I mean, a lot of their like archaeological sites of their civilizations are like in Iraq and Syria, places that, are difficult
to do archaeology in currently.
Yeah. But at any rate, so back to this octagonal sky thing.
Maybe it's from octopus aliens, is what we're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think that was the very smart
that's
point.
Probably what happened. In fact, I would say it's very unlikely that there's any other explanation.
Then I think we can put a period on this and move on to our next topic, right?